Sometimes, the hardest choices aren't between right and wrong. They're between what feels safe and what sets your soul on fire. In Heartland Season 19, Episode 2, Amy faces a choice that could change everything. The ranch, her family, and the life she's built, piece by piece. It's not just another story about horses or home. It's about a woman standing at a crossroads, torn between loyalty and the unknown. And for Amy, this might be the moment that defines who she really is. The sun rises over Heartland Ranch, painting the sky with soft pinks and golds. The horses move slowly in the morning mist, their breath forming clouds in the cool air. Amy walks through the barn, her boots tapping against the old wooden floor. Everything feels familiar: the smell of hay, the quiet rustle of the horses, the soft whinny that always makes her smile. But today, something feels different. There's a heaviness in the air, quiet tension that even the animals seem to sense. She runs her hand along Spartan's neck, her first and most loyal horse. He nudges her shoulder as if asking what's wrong. Amy smiles faintly, but her eyes say something else: uncertainty. For years, Heartland has been her safe place, her home, her entire world. But lately, that world feels smaller, quieter. She can't shake the feeling that something's missing, not from the ranch, but from herself. Last night, a phone call changed everything. A woman from Calgary, someone Amy met at a recent equine therapy conference, offered her a position at a new training center. A big opportunity, one that could reach hundreds of horses and people who need healing. "You have a gift, Amy," the woman had said. "You could do so much more." Those words keep echoing in her mind. As Amy fills a bucket with water, she glances toward the house. Jack's sitting on the porch sipping his coffee, his hat tipped low. He's been there since dawn, like he always is, watching over everything without saying much. Amy knows he can feel something's on her mind. He always does inside. Lyndy's laughter drifts through the open window. It's light, pure, and full of joy, the sound of everything Amy loves most. She pauses, letting it wash over her. The idea of leaving even for a while tugs at her chest like a weight she can't carry. Heartland isn't just land and fences. It's family. It's history. It's Ty's memory woven into every sunrise. But deep down, Amy can't ignore the pull she feels, the whisper that maybe it's time to grow, to step into something new. She's helped countless horses and riders here, but the offer from Calgary is different. It's not just about horses anymore. It's about creating change on a bigger scale. Yet with every new dream comes a shadow of guilt. Would leaving mean she's abandoning what Ty built with her? Would Jack understand? She takes a deep breath, the cool morning air filling her lungs. The mountains stand tall in the distance, silent witnesses to every joy and heartbreak this land has seen. Amy whispers softly, almost to herself, "What would you do, Ty?" The barn stays quiet, but her heart answers in the way it always does when she feels lost. A quiet reminder that love doesn't hold you back. It helps you move forward. Still, for Amy, moving forward has never felt so heavy. The letter lies on the kitchen table, unopened, but loud enough to fill the whole room. Amy has read it before, yet somehow it feels heavier today. The paper is smooth, the handwriting elegant, the logo from Calgary shining faintly in the morning light. Equine Horizon Center, it reads at the top, a name that sounds full of promise, yet distant from the quiet rhythm of Heartland. She pours herself a cup of coffee, but her hands tremble just slightly. Outside, the day is already moving. Jack fixing a fence, Lisa heading into town, Lyndy chasing a butterfly across the yard. Everyone's doing what they've always done. The ranch moves forward, as it always has, with or without her decisions. That's what scares her most. The idea that maybe, just maybe, Heartland doesn't need her the way it once did. Amy sits down and runs her fingers over the letter again. It's not just an offer, it's an invitation. A new stable, new horses, new challenges. The woman from Calgary had been kind but firm. "You'd be leading the program, Amy. We'd build it around your methods. You could help kids, veterans, riders. You could reach so many more." It's everything she's ever wanted to hear, yet it's the last thing she's ready to face. For a moment, she closes her eyes, and the world narrows. She can hear Ty's voice in her memory, calm, steady, full of quiet encouragement. You always know what's right, Ames. You just have to trust yourself. But trusting herself feels harder now. Since Ty's gone, every choice feels like walking a tightrope. One wrong move, and she might lose the balance she's fought so hard to keep. The screen door creaks open behind her. Jack steps in, the smell of dust and coffee following him. "You've been staring at that thing since sunrise," he says gently. Amy smiles, but it's the kind of smile that hides more than it shows. "It's nothing," she replies too quickly. Jack leans on the counter, his eyes kind but sharp. "If it were nothing, you wouldn't be holding your breath every time you look at it." Amy exhales, setting the mug down. "It's an offer. From Calgary. They want me to head a training program." Jack nods slowly, not surprised. Maybe he knew before she even said it. "That's a big thing," he says. "What's stopping you?" Her gaze drifts toward the window where Lyndy is laughing under the sunlight. "Everything," she whispers. "The ranch, Lyndy, you, Ty." The words hang in the air like dust motes, fragile, shimmering, impossible to ignore. Jack steps closer, resting a hand on her shoulder. "Heartland's in your blood, Amy. But don't forget Ty wanted you to live, not stay stuck." His voice cracks a little, and that makes Amy's eyes sting. Jack isn't one to talk about feelings, but when he does, it hits deeper than anything else. She nods but says nothing. The letter is still there, silent and patient. It doesn't rush her. It doesn't plead. It just waits like a door, standing open, daring her to walk through it. Outside, a gust of wind lifts the edges of the paper, making it flutter like it's alive. Amy stares at it, and for the first time, she doesn't see a piece of paper. She sees a choice, a bridge between who she was and who she might become. And as the day stretches on, she realizes something she hasn't said out loud yet. Sometimes, the hardest part isn't deciding what you want. It's admitting that what you want might take you away from everything you love. Night has settled over Heartland, the kind of night that feels almost alive, where the stars seem to breathe and the wind carries whispers from the past. Amy sits alone in the loft, a single lamp glowing beside her. The letter from Calgary rests on the table again, folded neatly beside a small wooden box, Ty's box. She hasn't opened it in months. Her fingers trace its edges before she finally lifts the lid. Inside are small fragments of a life once whole, a photo of Ty smiling by the corral, a faded ribbon from one of their first rodeos together, and a note he once left her: "You don't have to be fearless. Ames, you just have to keep moving." She closes her eyes, and for a moment, she's back there years ago, standing in the middle of the field with Ty beside her, both laughing as Spartan kicked up dust. The air was warm, the sky endless, and everything felt simple then. No decisions, no doubts, just love and wide open space. But now the silence is heavier. Every memory feels like both comfort and burden. The past isn't cruel, it just lingers, waiting to be understood. Amy leans back, her voice barely above a whisper. "You always made things seem so easy," she says softly to the air. "Why can't I?" From outside, a soft sound interrupts her thoughts, the faint thud of hooves. She glances out the window and sees Spartan pacing near the fence, restless. He's always been sensitive to her moods, as if he can feel the storm inside her. Amy slips on her jacket and walks out into the cool night. The moonlight casts everything in silver. Spartan stands still as she approaches, his dark eyes calm but searching. She runs a hand down his muzzle and smiles sadly. "You remember him, don't you?" she murmurs. He'd know what to say right now. The horse flicks his ears, breathing softly against her arm. In that quiet moment, she feels it again, that mix of grief and gratitude. Loss and love tangled together. Amy glances toward the open fields beyond the ranch. The wind pushes through the tall grass, whispering like an echo from another time. Ty's voice comes back to her, not in words, but in feeling, that deep, steady certainty he always carried. He believed in her more than she ever believed in herself. She turns back to the barn, her boots crunching softly on the dirt. Inside, The smell of hay and wood wraps around her like a memory she never wants to lose. She sits on a hay bale and looks up at the beams overhead, the same ones she and Ty once painted together. The paint still holds faint fingerprints, frozen moments of laughter and life. Amy's eyes glisten, but not from sadness alone. It's something else, something stronger. The realization that every choice she faces now is part of the life they built together. Ty's gone, yes, but his love isn't. It's still here, in the horses, in the family, in every quiet sunrise. The night feels softer now. The decision ahead doesn't seem smaller, but somehow it feels clearer. Maybe she doesn't have to choose between her past and her future. Maybe they're both part of the same ride. Amy looks up at the stars and whispers, "I hope you're proud of me." The wind shifts, carrying the faint creak of the old barn door, as if the world itself answers. And for the first time in days, she smiles asterisk. Asterisk morning breaks over Heartland like a quiet confession. The sky glows in soft orange tones, and the ranch wakes slowly, roosters crowing, horses stirring, the smell of coffee drifting from the kitchen. But for Amy, this morning feels different. It feels like standing on the edge of something she can't quite name. The letter from Calgary is still there, resting on the counter where she left it. Only this time, it's open. Jack's already at the table, reading the newspaper, though Amy knows he's not really reading. He's waiting. Lou walks in a few minutes later, her hair tied up. A rush of plans already spilling out of her mouth, something about the Dude Ranch bookings and the new mare in the stable. But when she sees Amy's face, the words slow, then stop. "You didn't sleep much," Lou says quietly. Amy doesn't answer right away. Instead, she takes a deep breath, steady but full of weight. I open the letter. Jack looks up, eyes narrowing slightly beneath the brim of his hat. Lou pulls out a chair and sits, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern. Amy holds the paper in her hand, her fingers pressing creases into it. "They want me to come to Calgary next month," she says, "to lead their equine therapy program, full-time." The words sound foreign in the air, like they belong to someone else. Jack leans back, silence filling the room like thunder in the distance. Lou is the first to speak. "Amy, that's huge. It's everything you've worked for. A chance to do something bigger." Her voice is warm but careful. She knows what this means, not just for Amy, but for everyone. Amy looks between them, but it's not here. It's not Heartland. Her eyes fall to the table. "What happens to the clients I already have? The horses, Lyndy?" Jack finally sets down his mug. "Heartland's been through change before," he says. "We've lost people. We've grown. We've rebuilt. But what's always kept it alive is us, the people who care enough to make it matter." He pauses, his gaze softening. "You've done more for this place than anyone could have asked, but you can't keep living for what's already been done." Amy blinks, fighting back tears. "I don't want to leave," she admits. "But part of me feels like if I don't take this, I'll regret it." Lou reaches across the table, placing her hand over Amy's. "You're not choosing between Heartland and Calgary," she says gently. "You're choosing between comfort and growth, and you've never been afraid of a challenge." Amy laughs softly, though her voice cracks. "I'm afraid now," Jack smiles. That slow, steady kind of smile that feels like a promise. "Good," he says. "Means you care." The room falls into silence again, but it's not heavy anymore. It's thoughtful, almost peaceful. Outside, Spartan neighs, as if calling her name. Amy looks out the window. The pastures glisten under the morning sun, the mountains strong in the distance. For years, those mountains have stood like walls around her world. But maybe they're not walls. Maybe they're gates. She looks back at Jack and Lou. "If I go," she says, voice trembling slightly, "will Heartland be okay?" Jack nods. "Heartland's always okay," he says softly. "As long as we keep coming back." Amy folds the letter slowly, her heart beating like a drum. For the first time, she feels the truth of it, that leaving doesn't mean losing and change doesn't mean forgetting. It means honoring everything that brought her here, trusting that it'll still be waiting when she returns. As she steps outside into the morning light, The world feels bigger, brighter, full of roads she hasn't ridden yet. And though her decision isn't final, one thing is clear: Amy Fleming is no longer standing still. The day stretches long and golden over Heartland, the kind of afternoon that feels suspended in time. The wind is gentle, carrying the faint hum of summer, the creak of barn doors, the rustle of grass, the sound of horses grazing in the fields. But Amy barely notices any of it. She stands by the fence line, letter in hand, her thoughts louder than the world around her. Every path she's taken has led her here. Every heartbreak, every victory, every whispered promise in the quiet of the barn. And now, it all comes down to this moment. One decision. One leap of faith. She watches Spartan across the field, his coat glistening in the sun, his stride steady and sure. He's always been her anchor, her reminder that strength isn't about control, it's about trust. Maybe that's what this choice is really about. Learning to trust life again. Footsteps crunch softly behind her. It's Lisa. She doesn't say anything at first, just stands beside Amy, leaning on the fence, eyes following the horizon. After a moment, she says quietly, "You know, the hardest part of growing up isn't leaving home. It's realizing you can carry it with you wherever you go." Amy smiles faintly, eyes still on Spartan. "It feels like I'm standing between two worlds," she admits. "Heartland is who I am. But Calgary, it's who I could be," Lisa nods, her voice steady. "Then maybe it's not about choosing one over the other. Maybe it's about letting both exist. You can't stay still forever, Amy. You weren't made for small dreams." Those words settled deep inside her. Lisa leaves her alone again, but Amy's mind is no longer clouded with fear. It's quiet, focused, clear. She unfolds the letter one last time, the paper soft from being held so often. She reads it silently, then folds it again with care, as if sealing a promise to herself. Later that evening, Amy saddles Spartan. The ranch glows under the fading light, the sky painted in streaks of rose and amber. She rides out toward the ridge where the land meets the mountains, the place Ty loved most. The air is cool, crisp, full of memory. When she reaches the top, she dismounts and stands there, wind brushing her hair, her heart open and unguarded. She looks out at everything, the fields, the barns, the distant river. Every inch of it holds a piece of her life. She closes her eyes and whispers, "Thank you." For the first time in a long while, the silence doesn't feel heavy. It feels free. Amy takes a deep breath and pulls out her phone. Her thumb hovers over the number written at the bottom of the offer letter. She hesitates, just for a heartbeat, then presses call. The wind carries her voice as she says, "Hi, this is Amy Fleming. I've made my decision." She pauses, smiling faintly as a single tear slips down her cheek. "I'll do it." The moment hangs in the air, light, fragile, beautiful. It's not the end of Heartland for Amy. It's the beginning of something new, something that honors both her past and her future. She mounts Spartan again, the horse tossing his head as if he understands. Together, they ride down the ridge toward home, the golden light wrapping around them like a promise. And as they move, Amy feels something she hasn't felt in years, a sense of peace. And the quiet thrill of a new adventure waiting just beyond the horizon the next morning. The air feels lighter, almost like the ranch itself knows something has changed. The sun spills through the windows, casting golden light over everything it touches. Amy stands in the barn doorway, her bag resting at her feet. The smell of hay and fresh air wrapping around her like an old memory. This place has been her entire world for so long, yet today, it feels both familiar and new, like she's seeing it for the first time and the last time. All at once, Spartan nickers softly, his head leaning over the stall door. Amy walks over, brushing his mane with gentle hands. "You'll be fine, boy," she whispers. "You've still got Jack and Lyndy, and I'll be back before you know it." But even as she says it, her throat tightens. Spartan presses his nose against her shoulder, silent promise between them, the kind that doesn't need words. From outside, she hears laughter, Lyndy's voice, bright and full of joy. Amy turns and sees her daughter running toward her, her boots too big, her hair messy from the morning wind. "Mommy, you really going to help more horses?" she asks, her eyes wide with wonder. Amy kneels, brushing a strand of hair from Lyndy's face. "Yeah," she says softly. "I'm going to help a lot of them. But I'll miss you every single day." Jack steps out from the porch, hat in hand. He walks over slowly, the way he always does when words matter. "You sure about this?" he asks. Amy nods, though her voice catches when she answers, "Yeah, I think it's time." Jack studies her for a long moment, then smiles, small, proud, and just a little sad. "You're doing the right thing," he says. "Ty would have been proud of you." That name still hits like a chord that never fades. Amy takes a shaky breath. "I hope so," she says, her eyes glistening. "Everything I'm doing, it's because of him, because of what he believed in." Lou appears next, holding a travel mug of coffee. "One last cup before you hit the road," she says, forcing a smile. Amy takes it, their hands brushing. Neither of them says what they're really feeling, but it's there, the ache of change, the love that keeps them grounded. The family gathers near the truck, the engine humming softly. Lisa gives Amy a scarf for luck, and Tim, surprisingly quiet, just gives her a firm nod. His way of saying he's proud, without having to admit it out loud. Amy looks around, taking in every face, every corner of the ranch. The corral, the hills, the porch where Ty once stood with that easy smile. She lets the memories flood through her, not to hold her back, but to carry her forward. When she finally climbs into the truck, Lyndy runs up again, holding something small in her hands, a drawing of a horse under a bright blue sky. "So you don't forget home," Lyndy says. Amy hugs her tightly. "I never could," she whispers, as she drives down the long gravel road. Heartland grows smaller in the rearview mirror, but it doesn't feel like she's leaving. It feels like she's taking it with her every sunrise, every laugh. Every lesson learned in the dust and wind. The road ahead stretches wide and open. And for the first time in a long time, Amy doesn't feel lost. She feels ready. The letter, once heavy with doubt, now sits folded in her jacket pocket, not as a burden, but as a promise. She rolls down the window, the wind rushing in wild and free. A smile tugs at her lips as she whispers to herself, "This isn't goodbye. It's just the next ride." Months have passed since Amy left Heartland, but in her heart, the ranch has never felt far away. The city has its rhythm, faster, louder, restless, yet somehow Amy has found her peace within it. Every morning at the Equine Horizon Center, she walks through rows of stalls filled with horses that once feared touch and now nuzzle her hand with trust. Every rider she helps, a child learning to walk again. A veteran rediscovering hope reminds her of why she came. But even here, surrounded by new faces and new stories, Heartland still calls to her. It lives in the way she speaks to the horses, in the calm strength of her voice, in the kindness she brings to every moment. She carries the ranch not as a memory, but as a part of who she is. On a quiet Friday evening, after finishing her last session of the week, Amy walks out to the paddock. The sky above Calgary burns in shades of violet and gold, the kind of sunset that feels like home. She pulls out her phone and scrolls to a message from Lou. "Jack says the fence is holding, but he misses your touch fixing it." A smile breaks across Amy's face. She replies with a simple, "Tell him I'll be home soon." The following morning, she packs a small bag, grabs her keys, and drives. The highway stretches before her, long and familiar. With every mile, her heartbeat steadies, anticipation blending with warmth. The closer she gets, the more the city noise fades, placed by open air and rolling hills. When she finally turns down that old gravel road, dust rising behind her, the world seems to exhale. Heartland appears in the distance, the white fences, the weathered barn. The porch that's seen decades of laughter and tears. She slows the truck, taking in the sight, the smell of pine and earth filling her lungs. Jack's on the porch, of course. Hat tipped low, coffee mug in hand, the same as always. He spots the truck and lifts his hand in a slow, easy wave. Amy Parks steps out and for a second just stands there, soaking in the sound of the ranch, the creak of wood, the neigh of horses. Lyndy's laughter somewhere near the barn. Lyndy comes running, faster than she ever has before. "Mommy," she cries, throwing herself into Amy's arms. Amy lifts her, spinning her once, her laughter mixing with her daughter's. "Told you I'd come back," she says softly. Jack walks over, eyes glinting under his hat. "Well," he says, voice rough but warm, "looks like Heartland got its heart back." Amy smiles, tears slipping down her cheeks. "No," she says, glancing around at everything she loves. "Heartland never lost it. It just grew." Later that evening, as the sun dips behind the hills, Amy stands by the fence watching Spartan graze. The air hums with peace, the same kind that has always lived here. She reaches out, running her fingers through the horse's mane. "I found it, Ty," she whispers to the wind. "That place you told me about, where love doesn't hold you down, it helps you fly." The camera would linger there on her smile, the glow of the fading light, the ranch bathed in gold. The scene slowly fades to black, leaving the echo of hooves and the soft whisper of wind over the land. Voiceover final lines. Sometimes coming home isn't about returning to where you started. It's about realizing that every road, every choice, was leading you there all along. The screen fades in with the title card. Heartland, Season 19. Episode 2, Amy's toughest decision yet, and beneath it, in quiet letters, "Home is not a place. It's a feeling you never lose."